All right there, Dad. How are you going?
All right, Sam. Yeah, yeah.
Good stuff. We thought it'd been a slow news week this week, but actually, there's quite a few things there to talk about, Dad, isn't it? So where do you want to start?
Well, I mean, this Suez Canal law, there shouldn't be. I mean, what else can England and America do? I mean, they've got to safeguard them ships, haven't they?
Why?
Well, no, because food's going up all the time now. I mean, once this now, it's going to be even worse, isn't it?
Yeah,
if them ships keep on getting attacked, they're going to they have to go round to Africa, won't they? Around the Cape.
Yeah.
Everything's going to go up again. Everything's going to go up again.
Yeah. So yeah, what they're essentially doing, Dad, is they're protecting the economy, right? That's what they're doing, isn't it? That's what they're worried about, the economy now.
Yeah. Yeah, but why is it America and England have got to do it? Why can't France and Germany, all the other Euro countries, why is it always America and England have to go in?
Well, I did look. There isn't only those countries, Dad. There's Australia, Bahrain, Canada, and the Netherlands are also helping out. But some countries probably don't think it's worth bombing another country, Dad, to speed up delivery of goods by a week. Do you know what I mean? When you think about it, Dad, look what's happening in Israel today. America is sitting there and has allowed more than 20,000 civilians, basically, to be slaughtered, Dad, right?
I think it's 30,000 now, Simon.
Well, what about? Yeah, but that's including some Hamas as well, isn't it? I mean, whatever. If it's 25,000, 30,000 civilians to die, that's okay.
Yeah.
We're not involved in that. But if you touch our ships carrying goods and slow down the global economy, then God be with you, innit?
I know, but it's all right. For a start, I think Israel have had their revenge now, killing 30,000 people, right? Now, it's about time America and Great Britain followed the rest of the world, right? And said, Luke, you've got to stop. Luke, they'll give you all the hostages back, right? But you've got to give them a state.
Go on, where are we going?
To me, they've had the revenge, 30,000 people. America should pressurize them, and our country should pressurize them to give Palestine a state.
Oh yeah, well, again, we're not.
I think that's the only answer. But no one wants these simple. Give them a state, and you'll get your hostages back.
Well, a lot of people do. Of course, they want that, Dad. It's not like, it's just, as you said, it's America, basically, Americans and Israelis that are against that. The rest of the world, Dad, I think we all support a two-state solution. And
I can't say it, but why don't they want to give them a state?
Well, you understand why Israelis don't want to give them a state, right?
Why?
Well, why would they when they can just keep them in an open-air prison?
לשלוט ביטחונית על כל השטח מערבית לירדן. זה תנאי הכרחי, וזה מתנגש עם רעיון הריבונות, מה לעשות? את האמת הזאת אני אומר לידידינו האמריקנים, ואני גם בלמתי את הניסיון לכפות עלינו מציאות שתפגע בביטחון ישראל. ראש ממשלה בישראל צריך להיות מסוגל להגיד לא גם לטובי הידידים שלנו, להגיד לא כשצריך, ולהגיד כן שאפשר. עכשיו אני אומר בפשטות, ביושר, הניצחון ייקח עוד חודשים ארוכים, אבל אנחנו נחושים להשיגו.
Well, no.
Cheap labor.
The Israelis have had their revenge, killing 30,000 people. It's about time they sat around the table and said, Luke, let's be friends. We'll give you a state, and that's it. And live happily ever after.
Oh, I know,
But
it's lovely, Dad.
no.
But they're not, this is kumbaya stuff, isn't it? Let's all sit around the table, smoke a joint, and fucking sing kumbaya. It's not going to happen, Dad, is it?
I know, but why? I mean, eventually it's going to happen. Now, how many people have got to die first? I think eventually they'll have to give them a state.
Well, I know, but we talked about this many times, and we both agree, Dad. So it's not really interesting, is it, for us? But back to the, what's happening with the attacks on the Houthis, the Houthis there. Like, what I've just said, Dad, isn't it? It's they care more about the slowing down of the economy than they do about the lives of 30,000 innocent Palestinians, Dad. And that just tells you a lot about our governments, doesn't it? And you're saying, why don't other countries join in? It's like, well, maybe they're not as immoral as our countries, Dad, right?
I mean, because them missiles, what they're shooting to get these drones down, they cost £1 million. No, and it's just,
Yeah, and who's paying for that, Dad? Who's paying for it?
Well, it's the taxpayers again.
And what are they protecting? They're protecting the private industries of, one, obviously the ship owners, who are going to be probably massive conglomerate companies, right? Global multinationals. And they're protecting the companies that are trading, Dad, right? So again, they're protecting the rich. They leave the poor who've been bombed to shit in Yemen as well, because the war's going on there, but in Palestine. And they protect capital, Dad. They protect the richest by using taxpayers' money to fund the bombs, which they then use to protect the capital. Do you know what I mean? The private industries should be paying for that defense, Dad, shouldn't they? I don't know.
What's this about now? That Iran now bombing Syria and Yemen. What's that about?
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, what's it about? Yeah, I mean, it seems mental, Dad, doesn't it? Again, but when you consider that America bombs countries it wants to, Iran seems to be doing the same as what America does now, doesn't it? And I'm not condoning that. Of course, it's but this is what the Iranian foreign minister said, Dad. Yeah. So speaking to CNBC at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland on Tuesday, Iranian Foreign Minister Hossein Amiradolahian defended his country's actions. The Iranian forces' strikes were in line with combating terrorism and legitimate self-defense, the minister said, adding, "We have no reservations when it comes to securing our national interest with any other country." So they're entitled to do it, Dad, I suppose, are they?
What's all this bloody different terrorists all about the world? I mean, I just...
I mean, you get the point I'm making, though, Dad, right? If America says this all the time, they attack Iraq, they attack Afghanistan, Libya, Yemen, Somalia, and they say, oh, we're hitting terrorists. They don't prove to you that who they're going after. They just say terrorists, and they attack them. And the world is like, oh, okay. But then Iran does the same thing. Now, I don't know if they are actually attacking terrorists, Dad, but I also don't know whether they're attacking terrorists in Afghanistan. It could just be
because Iran supports... They support Hamas, don't they? They support in terrorists.
Exactly, they do, yeah.
So, this is what I just can't... They're supporting terrorists, they're giving them arms and everything like that, so that's to Hamas.
Yeah.
So... And then you say that they're fighting terrorists as well. Oh,
that's what I say. Yeah, but what you've just said, Dad, is on the one hand, Iran is saying that they're fighting terrorists, and on the other hand, they're actually funding terrorists.
Yeah.
We both agree there, Dad. Now let's look at America. America says it's against terrorism, yet America funds Israel, which is creating terrorism against the Palestinians. And then on the other hand, it fights against terrorism. It's like, Dad, if the American and British government don't like someone, they say they're a terrorist state and their leader's terrible. Iraq, Saddam Hussein.
Yeah, but you just got to be sensible. It's not a sensible world at the moment. I mean, just give them a state and we'll have peace in the Middle East.
Well,
it's so. Well, why don't they want to give them a state? To have peace.
Well, I think we've talked about this again. Again, that we've talked about it. I think this Netanyahu government, this far right, fascist Netanyahu government, wants to get rid of all the Palestinians from Israel and have it as a Jewish state. That's what they've been after.
Well, no, well, that's wrong, isn't it? They don't. I mean, America should.
The whole shit America is all wrong.
America knows we shouldn't be saying it's right. We should say no. Give them a state, and the will can force Israel to give Palestine a state.
Oh, of course they can, Dad. Yeah. Oh, of course they can. Of course they can.
Well, that's what they should be doing.
Well, we know that, Dad, but it's not what they're doing, is it? It's not.
And, I know, but rather than 30,000 people being killed, how many more have got to be killed before they get a state?
Dad, a million Iraqis died, Dad, and they still carried on. They don't give a shit about a million Iraqis or 30,000 Palestinians, Dad. You know, these are people that care about profits. They care about, enriching themselves, Dad. We're talking about the true elites that are behind the show, but they're behind the politicians. They don't give a shit about 30,000 Palestinians, Dad. Why would they?
Well, it's about time they did, isn't it?
Well, I mean, it's about time the people forced them to, or threw them out of power, and took over because it's not going to.
There is one simple answer, and I just don't understand why. Is it because of money? It's got to be money. It is one simple answer, and have peace in the Middle East. Give them a state. Now, America should be forcing them to do that. Because they won't. If America, I mean, all the rest of the world agree. So if America, it forces Israel to do that.
Yeah. Oh, look. I mean, we've spoken about this at length, and I think most people watching would agree. I mean, there are people who say, the other side of it, Dad, is that what people on the right are saying, that even if you give them a state, they're going to then continue to carry out bombing Israel. That's what they're saying.
No, they won't. No. If you give them a state, no.
Well, the thing is, I think it is quite possible that there will be terrorist factions within Palestine that would continue to do that, Dad. And to be honest, you can't ever stop that, Dad. You look at the terrorist attacks that happen in America that are done by white evangelicals.
According to the United States intelligence community, domestic terrorism from white supremacists is the most lethal terrorist threat in the homeland.
Evangelical Christians, Dad, killing hundreds of people at music events and stuff. You can't stop every single act of terrorism, Dad. You just can't. If someone wants to do something horrible, then they will. So if you
you can't just sit down and say, okay, and let it happen again and happen again and again.
But there's the thing, though, Dad. I mean, look at it. Look at the situation in America. They keep having these terrorist attacks where people mow down hundreds of people, right? Mass shootings. Oh, the obvious thing, everyone is like, you need to ban automatic weapon sales, Dad, right? It's fucking obvious. But they don't, and they don't because of the National Rifle Association is paying all of the politicians to keep all of these weapons illegal, Dad.
Oh yeah, money comes into it again. Yeah. Money to them is more important than lives.
Of course, yeah. That's all they care about, Dad. Is increasing their wealth, right? It's a game. Richard Branson and Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos. They're in this, mass. Who's got the biggest dick by making these rockets and seeing who can get into space first and stuff, Dad. They're assholes, Dad. They don't give a shit. I used to love Richard Branson as a kid.
Yeah.
So he's fantastic.
Well, I've got this. I read this out. Let me get me lights on.
Going all professional, Dad. You liked it and everything.
Now, the wealth of EU's 5 richest men.
Yeah.
5 richest men, almost 6 million euros every. They increased almost 6 million euros every hour since 2020. Now, them are the 5 richest men, right?
Yeah.
Now, a wealth tax of EU multi-millionaires could raise 285.5 billion each year. 99% of Europe's population has become poorer. This was Oxfam's report. The world will have its first trillionaire within a decade. But poverty will not be eradicated for a further 229 years. Now, that's Oxfam's report.
Yeah. If current trends continue,
they've got to start. They've got to start. It's not the poor they want to get the money off; it's the bloody rich, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, Dad. I mean, I can't believe it. I mean, it's all wrong, Dad. We talked about last week about this inheritance tax, Dad. And they're trying to stop any kind of tax on anything. You can leave as much money as you want without having to pay any money on it. But then the poorest people in the country, Dad, if you get put in a home, if you've got £100,000 house, if you've got any house worth more than £50,000, when you get older, if you need to go into a home, you've got to sell your house to pay for the own care, Dad.
That's right. Yeah.
It's like, don't keep taxing them on the inheritance tax so that other people who can't afford it are able to hand over the only asset they've got, which is like £100,000 or £150,000, Dad. Why are you protecting people who are handing over millions and hundreds of millions and billions, and then you're leaving people with a single house, worth 100 grand or 150 grand to the mercy of capitalism in their late age after they've worked all their life? It's fucking scandalous.
Well, I mean, they won't pay doctors and nurses a decent wage, right? But to stop these drones, it's in the ships in the canal. It costs £1 million per missile. So they've got money for that.
Exactly. And as I'm saying that's all to protect economic interests. What I'm saying is the economic interests should be paying for that. They should be billed for those bombs, Dad, right? Because they're being used to protect their shipping. It's got nothing to do with the taxpayers, Dad. I don't care if my watch takes an extra week to come from China. I don't care. I'm not gonna say, oh yeah, go and bomb Yemen because my pair of pants are gonna take an extra week to get to me. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, no. Everything will go up because of that, though, won't it? Everything will go up.
Well, everything, because they passed. Yeah, here's the thing. Yeah, but wait, Dad. Yeah, here's the thing. What you've just said is correct. Everything will go up, right? But you're not considering that you've had to pay for all those bombs, Dad. If you didn't pay for all those bombs, you would save money. And then, yes, your prices would go up, but it would be the same. But instead, what you're doing, you're paying for these bombs so that the companies can continue to maximize their profits, Dad. You see what is happening there, right? You're defending it, but the price will go up. Yeah, but you're paying to pay for all these bombs, right? Your taxes have gone up to pay for all of that. So it's either your taxes go up or the price of stuff goes up. And nobody dies, It's like, but 5 people died in those strikes on Yemen, Dad. We don't know who they were. They might have been civilians. We have no idea. And we'll never know because there's no media there to tell us, right? But apparently they'll probably be terrorists.
It was on the news. I feel sorry for that poor woman. She lost her 4 sons with a bomb from the Israelis. They were just sat down, according to them, they were just sat there in front of a fire, and the bomb killed them.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen, this is probably in the West Bank, Dad, not in Gaza, right?
But the poor woman there, 4 children. Oh, it's getting crazy. It's just crazy. Oh no, crazy.
They don't care. They're not white, Dad. So it's as if people just forget about it. It's like, look, you've had again a boat crossing the channel today. The weekend with 5 people died on it, right?
Yeah.
So it's like the answer is screaming people in the face rather than force people across the channel. allow them to come into the UK legally where they can apply for asylum. And then you don't have people crossing the channel. It's simple, Dad. And if they don't...
Luke, no, Simon, you've got this wrong, because, Luke, you can't even get into a doctor's now and a dentist. You can't get all the dentists. Now, how can we all let all these people in when we can't even look after our own people?
No, that's not what I said, though, Dad, is it? That's not what I said. I said, instead of forcing people to cross the channel, allow them to come in and apply for asylum in the UK legally. Now, that doesn't mean they will get asylum, Dad. They can be turned away. You can say, no, you're an economic migrant. You can go back to your home country. Sorry. You know, it's not saying that if you come in, you just walk in. When you land at Heathrow, you apply for asylum, you are taken off to an asylum centre, and you apply for asylum, and then you wait for your case to be heard, Dad. Or you go back, or you were put up in a house or whatever, you know.
Oh, you put them on the barge then, would you? Put them on the barge?
I wouldn't put them in a barge, Dad. No, I wouldn't. I would make sure that they, that honestly, I would like to see them enabled to go into society. I mean, if you're applying for asylum, don't treat them like criminals. Treat them like asylum.
I'm all for the way Starmer thinks it should be done, and I've agreed with that all along, right from the roots. You stop these people trafficking. You stop the people that's sending them out over. Well, that's what you've got to do.
All right. Well, okay. That's what
you've got. But by that, you've got to have words. You've got to have words with the French, and come to it right. And it's simple. Of course, you can stop these people. Send them over.
Okay, all right, Dad. We've been what you're saying. Go after the traffickers, right? We've been doing that. We've been doing that with the war on drugs for decades, Dad. Going after the traffickers. People taking drugs, still taking them. You remove one drug lord, another drug lord comes in. If there's money to be made from smuggling people,
I know, but you've got to make the penalties bad as well. If they do get caught, you get 20 years imprisonment.
No, I mean, I'm not against that, Dad. Yeah, I'm not against that.
You've got to make the penalties stronger and go to the root of them as the traffickers. That's to the root of it. That's why you've got to go.
The thing is, Dad, you've said this, I don't know how many times, and I keep telling you, that is not the root of the problem, is it? Because unless you stop the need to leave your home country, you're always going to have refugees, Dad. Right? So...
but there's a lot of countries, their life is not in danger. They just want to come over here for a better life.
Yeah, and look, we've also had this conversation that if you had a shitty life and you had no money, you couldn't afford to pay for your kids to go to school, and you knew that if you went to the UK, you'd be able to get a decent job, you would probably do that for your kids, Dad. So what I'm saying,
Luke, you can't even get a doctor's appointment now, and a dentist. You can't get a dentist, right? Now, look, if we can't do that for our own people, how can we have thousands and thousands coming over when we can't even look after our own people?
All right, hang on here now, because you know the reason why there's the NHS doesn't have any money for all of this. That it's being starved by the Conservative government, right? Because they want to privatize it. Apparently, if we privatize it, we won't have any problems with waiting lists. We won't have any problem with dentists or all this, that. How is that going to work? Because that's what we're being told, right? So the problem clearly is not with people coming in, is it? If we can privatize it and then all the problems go away.
Well, no, what I'm saying is, if our own people can't get dentist appointments, right, they have to pull their own teeth out, which some are doing, right? How can we allow thousands of immigrants in when we can't even look after our own people?
Well, what I'm saying to you, Dad, is that it's not like we can't look after our own people. It's the government doesn't want to look after their own people, right? So it's a disingenuous argument to say that, we can't feed our own people. It's like, if you've got poverty in your country, it's happening for a reason, Dad, right? If you can't go to hospitals, and I agree with you, the hospitals are dirty, they're fucking run down. Doctors and nurses are tired, Dad, but that's all because they're being starved of cash because the government wants to privatize it so that their buddies and bum chums from university
Can make money. Yeah.
can make money. Yeah, I mean, that's it. So you're basically I've said this before now, when you talk about these people coming in, those are the most vulnerable people on the planet. What you need to be doing is going for the people with power, Dad, not punching up, not punching down, Dad. And that's what it is when you belittle, we can't afford to do this for refugees.
Yeah, I know, but there's no way we can. Small people, these billionaires all over the world, the billionaires run the country, run the actual countries. They run the governments.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was another story that we looked at this week, Dad, wasn't it? With the George Monbiot article, what links Rishi Sunak, Javier Milei, and Donald Trump, the shadowy network behind their policies. So yeah, it's out there in the open, Dad. It's, you've got in the UK, there's an entire street called Tufton Street in London, Dad, that is dedicated to these think tanks where people are employed to come in and pretend that they're there being paid to carry out scientific work for the benefit of humanity and all this, but they're not. They're funded by billionaires, and then they're invited on the BBC to talk as if, they're experts in the field. They're not. They're just basically billionaires' spokespeople.
The billionaires are telling our government what to do, aren't they?
Yeah,
they're running the country in a way, aren't they?
Well,
not the actual government.
Well,
it's the people with money. Yeah.
As an example here, Dad, Rishi Sunak has admitted that Policy Exchange, which is a think tank, helped us draft the UK's vicious anti-protest laws. So they've made it illegal now to protest, to tie yourselves on and block traffic and stuff, Dad. That was a think tank called Policy Exchange, which came up with that idea. And the government is bringing them in. So essentially they're saying, come on, billionaires, come and help us run the country, rather than getting people from the, actual decent working people from the country to come and help formulate policy. Inviting billionaires in to do it, Dad. I mean, how do we expect to ever get away from these problems when that is happening, Dad,
Oh no! I mean, when they give all these peerages to their friends and everything, like it's just crazy, Well,
yeah, look at this, Dad. Yeah? Look at this. The 3 peers nominated by Liz Truss in her resignation honours list have all worked for or with organisations belonging to the Atlas Network, Matthew Elliott, Taxpayers Alliance, Ruth Porter, or the IEA, John Moynihan. You're basically giving thank you for your hard work, and now we'll make you a lord.
I mean, she's absolutely probably the worst prime minister we've ever had, and she's given a peerage to that woman that ran the post office at the time of the scandal. And she gave a peerage to that money, the one that did us out at £60 million in PPE. It is crazy.
I hope you can understand my frustration now. What I've been trying to say for years now, Dad, we need to have a grassroots movement of people on the streets fighting for our future, to take back our democracy, Dad, because we've lost it.
We have. I agree. We've lost it to the billionaires, and
absolutely. Yeah. So how can we deal with climate change when you've got the billionaires who are causing climate change setting the policy? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You can't get out of this.
They're not worried. They're only going to be alive for so long. These billionaires, they couldn't care less about. All they want to do is make money. They couldn't care less about the climate change.
Right.
No.
And then they changed the law, Dad, so that inheritance tax is scrapped, so they can give all of that money to their future, their offspring, and then they are set up for life. And that family will continue. What they're hoping, that family will continue to be rich, will be able to survive whatever comes from climate change, Dad. You know,
Yeah,
honestly,
yeah.
we're in a rush. You know, it's a race for our survival, Dad, against these billionaires. Honestly, and
Oh, it's it. I
until,
agree. No, I agree. I agree.
until enough people wake up to that and say, okay, I don't want this for my kids. I don't want them to have to go through this, and it's going to be much worse for them, obviously. Until that happens, Dad, you're gonna. It's things are just going to keep getting worse, and the news is not going to get better.
Yeah,
You know?
and it's like the Prime Minister. He's got a, you know, how can they say people are getting enough money and that? They don't know what they're talking about. The money they've got, like, you know, they don't know what hardship is, do they?
Well, they haven't got a clue. You know, these people have got like hundreds of billions, thousands of millions, and soon they're going to have what a trillion? What is it, like hundreds of or billions of billions, right?
Well, they reckon a trillion. By the end of the year, we'll have a trillionaire. What's a trillionaire then? How much is that? Oh, dear.
1,000 billion. 1,000 billion.
Oh, dear,
You know, come on, it's getting.
I mean, who needs that kind of money? You know, oh, they could build hospitals with that and everything, and give. You know, why don't they do that? Why don't they just say, oh, there, build an hospital, I'll pay for it? They won't do that.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, the thing is, they do little things like that, Dad, and that's what. And then the media, which generally a lot of them own, is like, "Oh my God, he's such a philanthropist. He's given like 100 million away to build these hospitals," and everyone's like, "Yay!" But if you shouldn't have that money in the first place, that should have been taxed so that we can build the hospitals ourselves. But now we have to say Now we have to say thank you to the billionaires for doing it.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. And you're making that money and you're giving it a little bit back. Yeah.
To make it look as if you're the savior, fucking Gandhi. You know, these are horrible. Elon Musk said they reckon for 1 year to solve poverty for 1 year would cost about 50 billion. Dad, right? Elon Musk, who's the second richest man in the world, he spent 40 billion to buy Twitter, which is a social media platform, and he's run it into the ground, and now it's worth half what he paid for it, Dad. You know.
Well, it's the one who owns that one going out of Swansea. What's that called?
Amazon. Jeff Bezos.
He's a bit billionaire. I mean, the way he treats his staff and that. I know people is working for him and that, like, you know. And there was an article in the paper. Oh, this is way back. A driver, and he took home £4 wages 1 week. Right? Because they have to do so many deliveries a day.
Yeah.
And if they don't do them deliveries a day, it's taken out of the wages.
Yeah.
You
I know they're pissing in bottles as they're driving because they can't go to toilets and stuff there to save time, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a documentary on that Swansea one. The Swansea, what's it called? The Swansea. Oh God, what do they call them? I can't remember the name of the centres they've got. The one in Swansea. People are just stressed out of their minds. That you got a timer on your wrist beeping all the time. Once you stop something off, it starts beeping again. You're running around all the time. It's terrible. And they can't afford the time to take piss breaks either, Dad. You know, so it's that's why they're rich in it, because they don't give a shit about anything other than getting rich.
No.
We've got our system right now, Dad. It encourages people to have the worst possible attributes. It encourages people to be greedy. It encourages people to have no empathy, no compassion. You know, we need to have the opposite, right? Where people are encouraged to be good people, Dad, good, honest, hardworking citizens, right? But it's the opposite, isn't it?
Mind you, there is one good thing that the government did, right? Now, why do you think the bookies, most of the bookie shops are closing, right?
Right. Yeah.
Because the government, they were making all the money off the machines in the shops, right?
Yeah.
Well, no, then the government said, no, there's a limit. You can't put more than £2 a time on them.
Yeah.
Well, since then, all these bookie shops have been closing.
Right.
So that's one good thing. One good thing the government did, isn't it?
Yeah, but has that not just gone online, Dad? Is that illegal as well to do those kind of things online? Because you've got online fruit machines now, right?
Oh no, probably online. You can probably do it. I don't know.
Well, I mean, it hasn't got rid of the problem. It's just shifted it online, then, isn't it? I mean, it's like I mean, they should ban all gambling adverts at football games on TV, Dad. They're on sponsoring football teams and stuff, Dad. It's disgusting. Because of course, young impressionable football fans who are kids are going to see that sponsor on their favourite team shirt and think, "Oh, if it's sponsoring my football team, it must be a good company."
That's right. Yeah, I agree. But it's the same as these vapes. I mean, they're made to influence the children.
Yeah.
That is completely wrong. I mean, they should be locked like the tobacco. They should be locked in a cupboard like the tobacco is.
Yeah, I agree.
All these brightly covered packets and that and banana flavour, showing the children, they should be locked in a cupboard like tobacco. Yeah.
Oh no, I agree, Dad. Yeah, I totally agree, Dad. All right, well, I think we got a lot off our chest there, Dad. It's time is of the essence. Everyone's got a home to go to. That was good. Good fun, Dad. Good chat. All right, I'll get this off to you and I'll speak to you on the weekend, yeah?
Yeah, okay, boy. Yeah.
Nice one, Dad.
Say cheerio to your mum.
Will do. Nice one, Dad.